what memories do you have of wrestling for Grand Prix? You know.
It was phenomenal for me because, like I said, here I was on the road with all these guys I grew up watching every Saturday night. These guys were household names in the eastern part of Canada. And here I was going up and down the road with these guys, a different town every night. Crowds were good. You know what I mean? Crowds were always between 500 and 1,200 people a night. And when you're doing a town every night and you're only traveling a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, and you're in the next town. And, we created a following, and it was great. Like I said, I couldn't ask for a better place, a better territory with better mentors in it. Renee had just broken in that year. He was, I think, 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And so he had started off in the year. Later on, Kurgan had come in a little later. He'd just left WWE, and he came in on the road too. So, me and him and I became really good friends. And, he got to tell me about how things were done in the WWE. And so everything, I was just kind of like a sponge and
Yeah.
taking in everything I could and trying to learn from all these guys who had way more experience than me.
Were you looking at possibly going to WWE or one of the bigger promotions? Was that an ultimate goal?
It was definitely an ultimate goal at the time, though. Leo and the Beast and those guys, the older guys, said, you gotta. The business was changing at that time, how to get into WWE. So that was right on the verge where things were shifting. Before that, what they said is that you had to go or learn to work in every different country, learn different styles so that you could work everybody. And he said, and then WWE would notice you, and then you could. But at that time, it was starting to switch over to the development system,
Mm-hmm.
where at that time they had a development camp in Memphis, they had one in Connecticut, and they were just, I think, starting maybe Deep South with Jody Hamilton shortly after that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was in a transitional period, so the direct route of how to get into WWE was kind of foreign to everybody at the time.
Sure.
So I decided, well, I'll stick with the old guys, what they said. And as soon as I worked in the Maritime provinces for 2 or 3 years, got my name out there, kind of made a name for myself, and then I went directly to England right after that and
Mm.
went to work for Brian Dixon and All Star Wrestling and got to work with some of the best technical. Robbie Brookside was one of
Yeah.
the guys that I had got to work
That's a
with
great
there.
wrestler.
He's incredible, and he's a guy that, unless you're know wrestling, people don't know just how good he is. Like,
Uh-huh.
one of the best wrestlers I've ever been in the ring with, and it's no doubt that he's the one teaching all the young guys today down at NXT. But guys like him, Dave Taylor, Kendo Kashin from New Japan, Drew McDonald, who was a Scottish wrestler that was incredible. PN News was there too, full time, and PN News had changed from the rapper, kind of terrible worker that he was in WCW to this incredible 500-pound wrestler from working with guys like Dave Finlay every night.
Oh
And
wow.
then we had guys like that, James Mason, who's a trainer now in NXT UK, who's one of the best wrestlers on the planet that most people would never hear of, and guys like Dean Allmark, I think right now, still today, is probably the best cruiserweight wrestler in the world, hands down. So all these incredible wrestlers I got to work with, and again, learn that different British style and learn to work with guys in that British style. And there was a lot of guys coming in from Japan, young boys, to come in and work in England. So, try to learn as many different styles as I could while I was over there. And eventually, Victor Quiones and Bushwhacker Luke called me they needed a big heel to go down to Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico was running hot at the time, selling out baseball stadiums, 20,000 people at Roberto Clemente, and Bayamon was selling out 10,000 every Saturday night, and our small shows were 5,000 at the time with the number one rated TV show in Spanish culture. We were actually outdrawing WWE when I was in Puerto Rico for
Oh,
numbers down there. Yeah.
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was an incredible time in wrestling.